Esther and Al, I like to call them friends with benefits because
Oh,
they cook they
right.
cook a lot and they get to eat each other's cooking. So
Yes,
so those are the benefits. Plus is, just the friendship and having somebody that that is plant-based and gets it. It's
that is
nice.
so important.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you're both married but not to each other.
Yes.
Right.
And you both were successful in getting your spouses to adopt the lifestyle.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be seeing Ben, which is Esther's husband, in a little bit. But Al's gonna start off just by talking about what he does, because he has some really great advice about cooking and especially easy recipes. And I
Yes.
do want to let everybody know that all of the recipes that we are going to be either seeing or hearing about are all going to be available. If you look in the show notes, there's going to be linked to the one-stop place for all the recipes there. So don't worry about having to write anything down because it's going to be in the show notes. All right, Al. Now I've cleared all that up. Go ahead.
And I made it easy for you. Let me start off with this. And I have a picture of it. It's on the recipe. And it is the ultimate Southwest blend. And there's nothing in it. And it says it right on the top or on the back if you read it. Is super sweet corn. I love that one. Not sweet corn. Black beans, mild chilies, and red pepper, onions, and nothing else. No salt, no monosodium, hybenzadrine, words that you don't know what they mean.
Yeah. So hold it up again because this is basically what the dish is going to look like after you make it.
Well,
With some other things added to it.
This is frozen. When you
Yeah.
buy it, frozen. All right, now this is the Swiss Army knife of food. I can use it for everything. I first got through. Okay, I don't cook. I'm 86 years old and I've never cooked, but I sort of had to because my wife is a wonderful cook and she is phenomenal. She's also very shy. She doesn't want to be on here, but I had to learn to cook a lot of stuff myself. She would say, well, honey, just tell me what to make. I don't know what to tell her. So anyway, I had a friend who was trying to lose weight. So he would take just a bed of lettuce. He'd pour this on it. Well, actually, he would get all the vegetables on his own. He'd buy them at the dollar store. He was really cheap. He'd pour them all on there. And I'm looking, I thought, well, I can get this in Southwest blend. And the first time we ate together, we were camping, and then he cooked up steak, and I thought, this was when I was a carnivore, and I thought, ooh, that salad was so good. So I said, and he was responsible for cooking, it was my RV. So I said, why don't we just have the salad tomorrow night for dinner and forget the meat? This was before I became whole food plant-based. And he said, yeah, it was good. So I started doing that. And then my friend Esther took this dish, this this jack of all trades food, and put some pineapple with it. And I thought, oh, that's pretty good, but I want a little more zing to it. So, and this is all in the recipe, I added balsamic vinegar to it. And that's this. And that gives it just a little zip. So
Yeah, now that's from California Balsamics. And we've had
California
him on the show before, and guys can order off of there. Or a lot of times people have locally, they may have a shop that sells olive oil, but they also sell flavored vinegars.
Yeah,
So
but
if you can't get that,
I don't get any money from those guys.
Yeah,
but
right.
Thomas is the nicest guy in the world, and really they do you a good job. So I just wanted to I'm going to put this over here.
Yeah, he has so many flavors that.
So many flavors, yeah. So that's all in the recipe that she has on the website. Now, here's why I really came. Because, again, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've learned the hard way. And I want to routine my eating. I want to do the same. A lot of people don't like this, but I want to have the same thing for breakfast every morning, and I want it to be healthy. So I started off reading Dr. Esselstyn's book, and he said he would just eat rolled oats, oatmeal, but he didn't cook them. And I thought, really? And he put apple juice in it. It tasted pretty good. Then I was on a cruise that had overnight oats, which is basically steel cut oatmeal, and they just leave it, and that tasted pretty good. And then I learned about Dr. Greger, and I look it up. It's nutritionfacts.org, and he has all these videos. Well, he has this thing called Broll or something. I don't know, but I've stolen from his recipe, and I call it I can't even read backwards. But it's BROMSL. It's for barley, rice, rye berries, oat groats, millet, sorghum, and black beluga lentils.
Show it to us again. It's so beautiful. I mean, I would just love to have that on my counter. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it looks nice. Now, what I do is in the recipe, I tell you where to get them on Amazon.
Yep, and we have that all in the recipe. So if anybody goes to the recipe, they'll see all the links.
Easy peasy. This is the beluga rentals. And now, most people just say, not most people, but Greger would just have lentils. Well, no, he wants a special kind. So I had to look that up and find them. And they're all on there. So I keep this bag, in a special place. And then I take a half a cup. Oh, shit, I spilled that. Sorry. I take a half a cup of each, put them in here. And then I add on to that because they don't have much of a taste. So I want a little bit of flavor. So I put 2 teaspoons of date powder, which I get from Well Your World. And then I pour that with 7 cups of liquid. Oops, I got yours. 7 cups of liquid into the Instapot. And the Instapot was made for people like me, idiots, because I can figure out how to use it. And so I put it in there for 20 minutes. Now, this is a work in process. I say 20 minutes I know about, but I don't know about the liquid. So you're going to have to experiment with that. I tried 6 last time, and it wasn't as liquidy as I'd like. I guess that's the word. And I'm also thinking about in the future is to put in some oat bran into it because I like the texture of oat bran. Now, the benefit of this breakfast is twofold. It has the highest incident of anti-inflammatory, antioxidants that you can get. And also it is 6 different grains. So it helps your gut bacteria, which Dr. B, I can't remember his full name, but the gut bacteria is important to your health. The gut bacteria is what causes your body to heal as much as anything else. So I figured out after being on this lifestyle for about 5 years that it wasn't only avoiding meat and dairy products and oil, bad things. You want to add as many good things in your diet as you possibly can. You want to look for healthy nutrition, not just avoid certain things. So that's why I went to the 6 grains, and I'm thinking about putting the oat bran in.
I have a question now.
Yes.
This looks so pretty in your jar.
Yes.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Everything's layered.
I know.
But when you go to make it, then do you mix it all up?
No, I just pour it in there. Pour it into the thing.
Yes, but then if you're only using a half a cup, you won't get anything that's on the bottom.
Oh, you mean once you put it into the Instapot?
Well, and before, don't you have to make
Do you just dump the whole thing in now?
No, that's all it needs. That's all you need. I mean,
you just dump the entire contents of that container.
Yeah,
in.
I
just use the half a cup or a fourth of a cup.
Oh, no, a half a cup.
Oh,
the
each
half a cup
thing.
That's the
refers to
recipe.
contents of
Okay. Obviously, I haven't
Yeah.
looked at the
this.
recipe.
and
okay.
and it's
I
great
can-
because you make it up ahead of time,
Yeah.
Well,
and then you don't have to think about it. You just dump it in.
you can get on Dr. Nutrition Facts and put in BROL. He
Yeah.
told.
Okay.
And you can look that up. And he uses this container, and I just happened. Dottie had it, and she wasn't using it, so I thought, "Can I have it?"
Okay. I was thinking you put a half a cup of this mixture, but you put. This
Oh
Yeah.
no,
is-
I put the whole
Oh,
thing
the
and
whole
just
thing.
pour it in.
Yeah,
So it-
it's kind of like Chef AJ. One of the tricks that she shared is that she has certain dishes that have certain spices in them. So
yes,
she'll make them all up ahead of time,
yeah,
right? In little, and which
Yeah.
is that's what I do. I have I make beans and I make
Yeah.
vegetable broth and things, and I have these little containers. And when I'm going to do the recipe, I'll say tablespoon, 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 teaspoon,
Yeah.
teaspoon, teaspoon.
Wow.
And then when it's time to cook, you just dump it in. It's a great trick. So that's kind of what you did with the
Yes,
ingredients.
exactly.
And now
And
you don't have to
also
think
it would-
about it.
I was coming on your show, and I wanted to look pretty.
It does.
The other thing is also, as I said, this is a work in process. At some point after I get this figure, the problem with this is adjusting it. This lasts me about a week, so I can't do it quickly. So it's going to be a couple months before I adjust it. But I also, when I only did oats, I put 2 cups of frozen blueberries in because I love blueberry, and blueberries are really antioxidant. So I'm going to probably try putting frozen blueberries in there. But this will last me a whole week.
Wow. That's great.
And one last tip is that for those of you going on a diet, the diet that Esther and I are on is whole food, plant-based, no salt, no sugar, no oil. Well, I have no trouble with the sugar, and I have no trouble with the oil, and I really don't have any trouble with the salt. But my lovely wife made chicken noodle soup, and it tasted terrible. And I thought, it needs salt. This is what you use: is new salt.
Okay.
It's potassium chloride, not sodium chloride. And I was
So that won't elevate your blood pressure like salt would.
And according to, there's 3 videos on it in nutritionfacts.org. And according to Dr. Greger, most people get way too much sodium in their diet. We only need like 1/4 of a teaspoon, and the body doesn't know how to get rid of it. We don't get anywhere near enough potassium in our diet. And the body can easily get rid of that. If we get too much potassium in our diet, we just pee it away. So,
but if we get too much salt, lots of things happen, including swelling and weight gain. Right? Yeah.
Exactly. So I just want to throw that out. It's inexpensive. You can get it at Amazon, but you can also get it at your local market, I suspect. Yeah. So that's it for Al.
Okay.
Well, I love having you on, Al. Because, go ahead.
The real cooks are now going to show you.
Well, I wanted to thank you, Al, because you're a very analytical person. And you go by, you're going to look at research and scientific data, and you're not going to go about, if you hear some kind of a fad going on, you're going to investigate it before you do something about it. Yes. And, and you were a cardiac cripple, right?
What for many? 80 years. I had cardiac problems in my 40s, and then until my 40 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but it got to the point where you couldn't even really walk across the room. So the doctors were telling you just to go home and prepare your things for what you needed to do and tidy up things for the inevitable. And you proved them wrong because you did the research and you found this lifestyle, which is just awesome. I just want to let people know that we do have your story in another video when you came on, and I'll link that to
my website. I forgot to bring my
sign. Oh, that's okay. But you know why? Because I have your website right here.
Staying alive. That's it. Staying alive. I have stayed alive for 6 years. she and I both started the same month.
Yeah.
And I really only had months to live 6 years ago. I would not be here if it was not for this diet.
Yeah, and the thing is, you put this website together just because you were healed and you wanted the world to find out about it.
That's all. Yeah.
And that's why you did it. You weren't trying to sell something or do.
No.
It was just like, hey, world, I hope you find this because it saved my life, and I hope it'll save your life or your loved one's life. But you're not trying to profit off of it. You're just trying to,
Yes, any money that I get is automatically donated to Dr. McDougall, and you the same thing with your books.
Yeah.
That's
Same
the
thing
other
with
thing
Esther.
she and I have in common. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're just so grateful for learning about the lifestyle and what it did for your health. And I'll have links to the interviews I did with both of you that you talking about your healing journey. And so it's just get a little choked up. It's just beautiful.
Can I go now?
So glad you're here.
Can I go now?
Are you excused? Yes. Everybody, if you can type in the comments, thanks, Al, or bye, Al, or something like that. Thank you so much. It was so kind of you to come.
Wow. Well, I guess it's time for me to tilt this a little bit and see if the camera on my little iPad will work.
Yeah. Well, while you do that, we're going to do a little true or false.
It's time for True or False on Be Green with Amy Live. Answer true or false to Amy's questions in the comments below, and Amy will ask our guest for the expert answer.
Okay. While Esther's getting everything ready, we have a true or false question. It's kind of a silly one. And that is, true or false, if I use the Instant Pot, it will be scary. So I imagine that there are going to be some people that might answer that question. And they might say true. What do you say about that, Esther?
Well, I think it has been scary for a lot of people who follow me in my Esther's nutritional journey, because they report that they've had one for 2 or 3 years and never got it out of the box. And so I think when they think of when their mothers had a pressure cooker and how sometimes it exploded and hit the ceiling, yes, they were afraid. But once you use it, no. I mean, this lid has a wonderful lock on it. You're not going to get the lid off while something's cooking. And so it's totally safe. And it is a wonderful, wonderful kitchen device to have. So what I'm going to do today is make my favorite 3-2-22-10 recipe for brown rice. And I call it my jingle because it goes 3-2-22-10. It's easy to remember that recipe. So you just take the lid off of your Instant Pot, and I pre-measure here 3 cups of water in this little bowl. So I pour that in, and I pour in 2 cups of brown rice. And you know, we're with family, right? So just stir it up a little bit. You can use a spoon if you must, but it's just that easy. Put the lid on, lock it by turning it to the lock position. Make sure the vent on the back is towards the back. And I just use the pressure button. It might say manual on your particular device. And I set the timer for 22 minutes. And voila, it's done. It's done. Well, of course, rice isn't done yet, but the process is done. So while that is on cooking for 22 minutes, I'll invite Ben to come, and he's going to show you how he makes the most delicious soup. So Ben, are you ready? And I'll come back to this when it's done and show you some other variations on the theme of making this brown rice. So here's Ben.
Greetings, Ben. Thank you for being here. So nice to see you.
And I'll make a little exit.
I don't cook in the Instant Pot as much as Esther does. I do cook some things in there, but one of the things I cook quite often is I have a couple of bean dishes that I like, and some soups and stuff that I cook. And I'm kind of old-fashioned. I cook over the stove. So before we got started today, I sauteed an onion and about the recipe is going to be in there about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic, and actually I forgot to give you, it's on the recipe. When I was putting it together today, I saw that I had some celery in the refrigerator, so I said I always chop up some celery and throw in there. So I threw some celery in and I sauteed that all together. And then near the end, when I finished sauteing, I threw in some mushrooms, about a cup of mushrooms. So that's already sauteed. So that's the beginning of this of how I do my soup.
So,
And then,
so Ben, can you please tell, for some people have not cooked this way before, did you, let's talk about oil.
oh yeah, there's no oil at all. I saute it in just water. So there's no oil in this at all. And then to go on, then the next thing I do is I make up a base of about 3.5 cups of water, and I use this better than a bouillon, a vegetable base, and I usually put about 2 tablespoons of this in with that, and that's going to be the base of my soup, and that goes in next. That's going to be the base of our soup, and that'll be cooking. I just started the stove up now, so it'll take a little while. Then I add in my beans, and I use 3 kinds of beans. I use garbanzo beans. They're all going to be a white bean. So I put 1 can, and I drain the can. They're just the beans, none of the liquid from it. And then a can of butter beans, because I love butter beans. And then 2 cans of cannelli beans. Now you can use any white bean you want, but I prefer these because they're big and I really like the way they taste. There's always a few of them stick in the bottom there, so I gotta get them out. And 1 more can.
And these beans don't have added salt in them, right?
No. Well, I don't think so. No.
No.
Okay, let's stir that up. And then, so that it's going to be a lot of different, I need some vegetables. And so the next thing is, Esther loves potatoes. She's got to have potatoes at every meal, it seems like. So we use these Yukon Gold, and I dice them up, and I'll throw about 2 nice sized Yukon Gold potatoes in there.
And it's okay to eat potatoes, right? We don't have to worry about carbs. People worry about carbs. And there are good carbs and bad carbs. And potatoes don't have the bad carbs.
Yep.
The processed foods have the bad carbs. So if you can pull it out of the ground or take it off a tree, it's not going to have bad carbs because of all the fiber.
Yeah, if you could gain weight by eating potatoes, Esther would be big again because she eats a lot of potatoes. And then I diced up about 2 carrots this morning, and I cooked them already because I like it already. When I put my soup together, I like it all ready to go, and I just throw it into the pot.
Yeah, and somebody could even just take diced up carrots that from a frozen package if they didn't want to.
Well, I like to
do that.
Do a fresh one and then just.
You like it fresh, but if somebody didn't want to go through the trouble, or they could always do that, and
right.
they're already a little cooked when you get them frozen, so that's helpful.
Sure, and then just mix it up, and really that's all there is to it. But it's really a hearty soup, and we take it like a lot of times to a potluck or something like that, and even people that aren't eating the way we do, they like it.
Yeah, and what I love about this lifestyle, I say it so often, is you can eat as much of that as you want. You don't have to weigh it. You don't have to measure it. You just eat as much as you want until you're comfortably full. So you're not going to be hungry. And that it is, like you said, it is hearty. It's got a lot of fiber and water in it. So you're going to feel full and satisfied.
Oh yeah, very satisfied.
Yeah.
It is filling, but I'll probably have a couple of bowls today for lunch after we're finished today. But that's really my recipe, and and
Can you bring that?
anything,
Is it possible to bring that close to the camera so that we could see inside of the pot what it looks like? I don't want you to get burnt or anything, but
no, I don't know.
ooh, yum. Yes.
I don't want to tip it too much, or I'll spill
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That looks delicious. And it didn't take long for you to
I
do
could
this.
put some in a bowl so you could see maybe a little easier.
Okay. Right. And you could eat it just right now if you were really hungry. You could just eat it, or you could just simmer it in the pot, however you wanted to do it.
Anyway, see that a little bit easier. Maybe.
Ooh, wait, let me get you in a single shot. Do it again one more time. Wow. It's so colorful too.
Spill a little bit.
Yeah. And you could eat 2-3 bowls of it if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
So, and
I always do.
Sky Love said, now I'm hungry. Yum.
And it's smelling pretty good here too.
Yeah, so I love that you showed us this recipe, because some people, especially if they're first starting out with this lifestyle, it's a little unfamiliar to them. And just what you showed us, you were just basically dumping ingredients in, and there you have it. You have a meal, and you could eat that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime. I know a lot of people that haven't adopted this lifestyle don't realize that most of the world, not the United States, but most of the rest of the world, eats vegetables for breakfast. And
I think the difference between Esther and I, the way we eat, Esther eats very plain. She'll eat potatoes, broccoli. I try to make it a little bit more like how I used to eat, with flavors and stuff. That's the only difference. Savory, as Al says.
Yeah. And we all can figure it out. We've tried different recipes, and we can figure out what it is that we like, and
know what you like.
change it around. Well, that's just so wonderful. Thank you for making it, showing everybody how easy it can be. We really appreciate that. Got back up a little bit, because you're very tall. Look at it. Let's just see this adorable couple. Okay. Aw.
I'll tell you, there's nothing like being a couple in this. And I know some of you who are in a mixed marriage, we understand that it's not easy. But just if one of you is a beginner more than the other one, just keep showing your light, and keep being true to what you know is best for you. And if your mate comes along, it's a real blessing. And if they don't, then you'll still be healthy, yourself. But don't let the fact that one of you is not doing the program stop you from doing it, because it was about 9 months for Ben to come on board. But eventually he just saw where there were so many advantages to it. And I'm just so thankful, Ben, that you have made it easier for us.
I told Esther, we've been on a lot of diets. And I said, not this one, Esther, not enough for me. But once I could see her results and the other information coming in, it's so good for the planet. It's so good for the animals. It's so good for your health. What's wrong with it? Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. And it's just good for raising your consciousness in general and your spiritual journey as well. It's just, when you love yourself, and you love your mate, and you love your food, and you love your animals, and you love Mother Earth, it's just lots of love going around, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's so well. So, I guess I can move back okay. I can move back. I was getting a little nervous because the Instant Pot haven't started showing the minutes yet. What happens is when it's heating up, whatever you put in there, it takes a little while, and the indication will just say on. But then once it kicks into the measuring the time mode, then you can see that on the dial as well. So right now I've set it for 22 minutes. It's down to 21 minutes. So it will take another 21 minutes for that to finish. But while it's cooking, I don't have to wait for that to finish to go to the next phase. As I mentioned in the show notes, that there's variations on the theme. So what I'm cooking now is just plain brown rice. and it's good mixed in with beans. It's good by itself. It depends on how plainly you want to eat it. But I came up recently with another idea, and this was partly because of Dottie and Al too, where I thought, what would happen if we did it more like Chinese food and added some pineapple to it? And so I experimented. I don't have any pineapple chunks today, but I'm showing you this pineapple. This is just crushed pineapple. But I think this would work just as well. So what I do when I want to make it a sweeter pineapple brown rice is I just drain the juice. I use pineapples as in its own juice. Drain the juice off, and I know I'm going to need 3 cups of liquid. So I measure that into 3 cups, and then if I don't have enough, then I add enough water to make it 3 cups. And then it's the same thing, 3, 2, 22, 10. 3 cups of liquids, 2 cups of rice in the Instant Pot for 22 minutes and on warm for 10. What you can do then at the end of that process is then add the fruit, because you don't really need to cook it under the pressure. So you use the juice in place of some of the water, and then you can add the pineapple. And then, as Al mentioned earlier, in using that frozen vegetables, you can also add that at the end. And I'll show you, I have some. This is a different brand. This is from Winco, and it's a Baja roasted corn blend. But for those of you who do not want any salt or any sugar, it's better to use the brand that Al showed earlier. We picked this up by mistake at Winco, and it's still good, especially for those who aren't taking in as restricted diet. It's still good food. This is roasted corn, black beans, roasted onions, green chilies, red and green peppers. So it's a little bit cheaper, but it does have a little more ingredients that you may not want in your thing. So that's good mixed in too. So when I do it with the pineapple, I call it pineapple rice or confetti. When I add the vegetables, I call it confetti rice. But otherwise, you can have it with the pineapple or without. And then another variation is if I want to make it more like, say, an Italian or Spanish rice, instead of using water for the liquid, I use, you can use these diced tomatoes with green chilies, and that gives it a little kick. And the same thing, when you want to use it this way, you just pour it all into a container and add enough water to make it 3 cups. So then the recipe's the same. 3 cups of this with enough water, and in the Instant Pot for 22 minutes and on warm for 10. So that is really fast. Just like this whole presentation is going real fast. So maybe we'll want to have some questions as to what else we can answer with the Instant Pot. But I love the Instant Pot. I even cook beans and rice together. I think that was going to be one of your questions. And that's where I mix the beans and the rice and the water and cook that for 45 minutes and let it stand warm. And sometimes I do it at night before I go to bed, and it's just on warm all night long. And then I love cooking potatoes in the Instant Pot. I use 15 minutes with 1 cup of water. And almost every recipe I use is 1 cup of water. And I have a little thing. I hadn't prepared this ahead of time. I have it right here. But I have a cheat sheet. It's called my Instant Pot Cooking Times. And if anybody wants it, I can send that to you, or if we could put the show notes later, maybe. But it's just a wonderful.
Yeah, we can do that.
list of all the foods that I cook in there. About the only thing I don't cook in there is broccoli, because broccoli, even when I have it set for the lowest pressure and the lowest time of 0, it still comes out more mushy than what I want. But I cook my carrots in there, I cook my potatoes in there, you cook sweet potatoes in there, you cook green beans, Brussels sprouts, just anything. So maybe Al has some ideas.
Yes, I do. I'm kind of a ham. I love to be in front of the camera. If you go to Well Your World, he has a recipe called IP Blaster. And that's something even I can cook, because he doesn't bother with the sauteing. He just takes all the ingredients, he throws them in. Dottie, what do you call it, honey? five bean or something. It
Or
has a
bean
lot of
soup or
beans in it, which are really good for protein. And it's tasty, and it's just, it's a one course meal. You throw the ingredients in, put it in, go home, or you're already at home. You go someplace and do something, and it's just easy. So
Yeah.
I had to come up and tell you that.
Oh, that's great. No, I love it when, like, sometimes on Sundays before we go to church, we'll just put in our potatoes in the Instant Pot. And it's so nice because even after it cooks, it stays on warm. And when we get home hours later, it's all done and all warm. So that's really great too. And I just love the Instant Pot. Now, another thing that's really good is I love sweet potatoes. And I do cook them in the Instant Pot from time to time at 15 minutes. But what I really love is them roasted in the oven at 400 for an hour.
Yes, yeah.
Because they just,
That's much better.
they caramelize. And then if you use that parchment paper, you don't have to worry about the drippings ruining your pans. And then with the paper there, I like to peel off the juices, and it's like my new candy.
Yeah.
So that's really great too.
I eat the skin.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. That's good.
Yeah.
But I have to tell on you the story. She was on an airline, and you ate a raw sweet potato. I could not believe when you told me that. I just said, "But why did you do it?"
Well, it's because it takes so long to eat it when it's raw. And when you chew and you masticate your food like we're supposed to do, it allowed me to leave my mask off for a long time. Because as long as you were eating, you got away with it. And then otherwise the guy would come by and say, oh, you have to cover your nose, you have to do all these things, you know. But then, as a matter of fact, most people know that Ben recently had a different issue, which is digestion. And so I went to the hospital and I had to take my own food because I was staying there all day.
Yes.
And I did take another raw
Did
sweet.
you?
I did. So
Oh
I've had,
my goodness.
I've had 2 raw sweet potatoes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Esther and I have different attitudes towards food. I'm like Ben. I want it to be savory. I want it to be tasteful. He said, like before, no, that's not true. I want food tastes better now because as you know, our taste buds have adapted to not having salt, oil, and sugar, which is all we really taste. They overload our taste buds, and so now we can taste subtle flavor. We can taste food that has complex taste to it, 3 or 4 different flavors. Before all you had is sweet or salty.
That's true. And it is true that when we eat this way, we can eat so much more in terms of volume because everything is under 600 calories a pound, according to Chef AJ's calorie density chart. And so you'd have to eat more than 5 pounds of food to get up to 3,000 calories in order to, if you're eating all just potatoes and beans, which is the highest level. So it is a wonderful way because I do like volume and I do like eating a lot of food, and that's good. But sometimes for me, Al, you know, I noticed that if I ate something that did have some salt in it or something like that, I would want to eat even more.
Yes, you've got me in touch with that. You have this thing about food addiction, and I'm addicted to sweets, even though there's no sugar. You know, I use date powder or dates to sweeten something. I still want to have more of that. Whereas if I eat complex carbohydrates, potatoes and beans and all, I get satiated, and I think, oh, that's fine. I don't need any more.
Yes. And so when you and Ben think my food's plain, it is plain, but for me, I've adapted to it.
Yes.
So it still tastes delicious to me.
Yes.
Even although I sometimes use no seasoning,
Yeah.
I still value it as fuel for my body.
Right.
And it's what has kept me from wanting more and more excitement in my
Yes.
food.
Excitement, that's an interesting word.
Yeah, I really like getting my dopamine other ways. So anyway, it's just such a great journey, and it's wonderful to be with you, Chef. And oh, Amy, you do so much good for the world, and you have these podcasts all the time, and you just are spreading the word like what we're trying to do too. Because when your life has been saved, there's no way you can pay it back
Yeah,
You
you
know.
pay it forward.
Yes, you just
Yeah.
want the whole world to know.
Because nothing tastes as good as good health feels. I mean,
Yes.
it's just incredible.
And I was
Yes.
telling you earlier that I had someone tell me, well, how do you know if you're getting too skinny? Well, I'll tell you one thing, to take it all out of that realm, I said to my friend who was asking me about that, I said, I think it's just that people don't like you to be skinnier than they
No,
are.
they don't.
You know?
No, it's skinny shaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And my brother does call me skinny sometimes, but I thought, he never did call me fatty. Isn't that strange? But anyway, I told my friend, I said, well, here's the difference. When I go to the store and I pick up a 10-pound bag of potatoes, and especially if I pick up 2 bags, you know what? I can feel that in my knees. So I know I don't need to carry that extra weight.
Yeah.
So if somebody thinks I'm too skinny, well, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But what I'm going to go by is how I feel.
Yeah, you had a lot of knee problems before you lost all the weight. And you even posted today about how much an extra pound. Did you want to, do you remember what you posted? I know you post so many things, but you
Yes.
posted about an extra pound of weight and what it meant to your knees.
Yes. I think it was 4 times.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I did post that. It was a preview from, I mean, not a preview, but a review from the previous year. But yeah, I tell you,
Yeah.
when you feel good and when you can move and when you don't have any pain in your body and no, you know, something I've never really talked about, but I used to get back pains. I get back spasms, you know, and I don't know exactly what caused it, probably inflammation or whatever. Sometimes it would come on just leaning over and picking something out of the refrigerator, and my back would go into spasm. And I would take 400 milligrams of Motrin to get some relief. And it's gone, you know, and all those other diseases are gone. So it's not, I mean, so many people want to lose weight to lose weight, you know.
Or for their looks.
Yes, yes, for their appearance. But but when you get well and all of those conditions, those chronic conditions are gone, what a bonus that is. Because I started basically, you know, for weight because I was told I had to lose 70 pounds before I could get my knee replaced.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have to get my knee replaced. And then I didn't have to have my eye surgery.
Yeah. Well, being 86 years old and not having aches and pains, that really feels good.
Yes.
You
Well,
know?
it's wonderful. So it's a whole new life. And one of these days you're going to see Ellen and I and maybe Ben and Dottie. No, they won't do it. But you and I would do it. We could be out in the street corners like these guys hollering, Jesus saved, Jesus saved. We're going to say, Whole Foods
sandwich
plant-based.
signs.
Yes.
You have such wonderful ideas. That's why I hang around with you.
But how else can we spread the word? You know, we can write a book, or we can be on shows like this, or we can, I would love the news to pick us up. But you know what? They have people attached to their backs that are, what do you call them, advertisers.
Advertiser, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And we don't advertise anything except for
No.
nature's food,
No.
you know?
There's no big broccoli behind us.
No.
No.
Freedom.
Or in your case, big potatoes. Did you ever, I want to show them this.
Oh, that's
This is my favorite thing when I come to Esther's house. Look at this. It's a pot full of potatoes named potatoes. And I thought, this is Esther.
Some people have a cookie jar. You have a potato pot.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right.
Because you can't live. That's like if you had to run out of the house because there was an emergency, right?
Yes.
You'd probably grab a couple of things and maybe even that pot.
Oh, you always have your potatoes with you, you
Yeah.
know. And people are so surprised because of the carbs, but you know, when it's unrefined,
And
it
if
has
you don't
everything.
put anything bad on them, you don't
No.
put butter and
No.
cheese and all on them.
And Dr. McDougall says that really potatoes are only 1 calorie per gram. Most carbohydrates are listed as 4 calories per
Yeah.
gram, but potatoes are only 1 because by the time you take the fiber out in the water,
Yeah.
it's only 1, whereas sugar would be 4 calories per
Well,
gram.
sugar is also a simple carbohydrate,
Right.
and those are bad for you.
Yeah. So
Right. And we're showing the calorie density chart so that
Oh.
people, if they're new, can see that as long as you go above that line and just eat the things that are 600
That's right.
calories a pound or less, you can eat as much as you want of that and till you're comfortably full. And you're going to, if you need to lose weight, you will lose weight naturally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know, like I always say, I have 4 things cooked all the time in my house. And that's beans and rice and potatoes, sweet potatoes. And then, of course, you need your water. And then primarily I eat above that line. And so I eat fruits and vegetables, grains and beans. That's all you need is those 4 things plus your water. And, you know, you can eat as much as you want, as often as you want. Now, I think it's really important to add some other vegetables and to add, you know, you can vary your meal with fruit too. I mean, it's just so easy to eat that way. And it doesn't require complicated recipes.
And it's less expensive.
Right. And we have how many recipes? You shared, I think, 3 recipes, and then Al shared 2, and then Ben shared 1. So look at all the recipes that you guys are going to be walking away with today.
Yeah.
And they're all simple, easy. And if you don't have an Instant Pot, you don't need one. You can, you know, make some of these on the stovetop as well. And speaking of Instant Pot, Cheryl wanted to know, what size Instant Pot does Esther have? What size Instant Pot is that? Because they do come in many sizes.
That's true. I like big things. I go for, I go for the 8-quart because then, sometimes I haven't made it recently, but I've made Chef AJ's cauliflower bisque, which is very good. And it does take a larger pot because when you make that, you put the whole cauliflower in there, the whole big cauliflower in there at once, and then plus the onion and plus whatever else goes in there. So I like that. But on the other hand, my friend Nora, she uses the 3-quart because she lives in an apartment and doesn't have much space on her counter. And so if you live alone, the 3-quart works fine. And the 6-quart is a nice one too. The 3-quart would be great if you're traveling and staying in a hotel. You know, you could.
Tammy does. They take one with them when they travel.
You could do that too. Or if you want to splurge, get all 3.
I think that's what happens when once somebody gets it and they actually use it, then suddenly they're having the 3-quart one and the 6-quart one and the 8-quart one. And I think I even saw on the back of someone's car, they have these little stickers where they show the family outlines of the, you know, the mother and the father and the kid and the dog. And I saw somebody on the back of their car, they had like different size Instant Pots on the sticker.
That's funny. Yeah, I have the big one, but you know, whatever you can afford or whatever you have room for. I have a blind friend. Well, he's not 100% blind, but he's legally blind. And I bought him the 3-quart one because it just fits under his counter and it's a little.
And he's single.
And he's single, right?
Yeah.
And so he does that. And it's great for making quinoa. In fact, I have my recipes right here. I should just tear this off and show you.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Keep your recipes in behind the cabinet door.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like. And this is
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I just love it. So I just look on it and say, okay, lentils, 1 cup of beans, 2.5 cup waters, manual setting, 15 minutes. And then I have perfect brown rice, is what I have, and steel cut oatmeal, oat groats. Oat groats is great too. If you want to go a little bit more natural than steel cut, you can actually use the groats. And the recipe for that is 1 cup of groats, 1.5 cup of water, set the manual setting for 40 minutes and 30 minutes on warm. It's that easy. Potatoes, baby potatoes, sweet potatoes, broccoli and zucchini, Brussels sprouts, beets, carrots, green beans. So that's my go-to thing.
So Jay asks, are instant potatoes healthy? So we're talking about how great potatoes are because Jay said they have monodiglycerides.
See I was going to say, just look and see what's in the package. Look at ingredients. If it says nothing but potatoes, they're fine. Anything else, you're taking a risk.
Well, and I think it's important to eat food that's least processed.
That's, yes.
You know, and I don't know, I've never used those, but it's better than eating pizza, it's better than eating meat, it's better than eating cheese.
Yes.
And all of that. But yes, I would say as much as you can to eat whole, unprocessed food.
Yeah, that's why you eat oat groats instead of steel cut,
Right.
instead of, which, oat groats are better than steel cut's better than rolled oats.
Right.
So, but they're all, again, it's better to eat any kind of oats than bacon and eggs.
Right.
So-
That's true. That's true.
And it's a journey. You don't jump. Both of us have been doing this for 6 years. You don't jump in and expect in 6 months expect to be at the same level that you will be after 6 years.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's nice to fine tune our journey.
And surround yourself with people like Esther that are whole food plant-based. They understand it. They're on the same journey. They'll be in a different spot than you will be. They'll have progressed farther or less than you, but they will support you. They won't criticize you and say, "Oh, how can you eat that? I'd rather eat the box it came in." You don't need that. You need positive, supportive help. The people that think the way you do.
Right. But it is sustainable. The other diets that people try, maybe, I mean, for most part, people after a while they don't stick to those diets because they're not sustainable to weigh and measure your food. And just limit how much you eat. You just can't, hold your breath forever. And this lifestyle is sustainable. And maybe when you first try it, things may not taste so good because you have those highly addictive foods that have the sugar and the oil and the salt. But then once your taste buds neuroadapt, then you definitely will see a difference in how everything tastes. And it's kind of like karate. You have the white belt and the yellow belt, and then we're all at a different level, right? And you guys are black belts, third degree.
I don't know anybody. We know, you and I know a lot of people in the Sacramento area. I mean, at least 100. And I don't know anybody that's been on it any length of time, 6 months or a year, that has any trouble staying on it. I mean, they don't get tempted. They'll go to a party or a get together and they'll see something that they used to eat and they'll look at it and say, "I used to eat that." They don't say, "Oh, I wish I had one."
Right. And you can be the motivator for change too, because recently I was invited to attend a luncheon. It was actually a fundraiser for my cousin whose son is autistic, and they don't eat this way. And so when they asked me to invite people to come, I thought, well, I can't invite people to come to an event that doesn't have a vegan option.
Yeah.
And so I asked, and they put me in contact with the caterer, and I was able to arrange for a vegan entree. And so don't be afraid to ask and to implement that change if you can. So it turned out that the 9 people that I invited were all vegan. And so we all were taken care of, and I really appreciated it. But unless you ask, you don't receive.
Yeah, I'm almost, I would say 80% of restaurants you go to, they will respond to you. Certain fast foods can't, and certain places can't, but most of them will. Most of them respect the fact that you're eating healthy, and they sort of wish they would.
Yes, it is wonderful. So we just all want to, help people and inspire them. And what inspires you the most, though? It's not listening to a speaker necessarily. It's not necessarily going to a conference. What really inspires and motivates a person is your own behavior. Because when you make a commitment to change how you're going to eat, even if maybe at first you're only giving up animals, and maybe you move into animals and dairy, but it's going to be the results that you get personally that you've internalized, and they're real and they're honest, and you've experienced it. That will continue.
Well, I wanted to.
Sky Love said that there's a good book called Salt, Sugar, and Fat, and it is a great book. I recommend it too. I'll put a link to that in the notes because it's about how the food giants hooked us, which is what you were talking about earlier, Al.
Yeah, but I wanted to improve on that. You have to, not to want to do this, you have to make the decision.
Yes.
And once you make the decision, it all flows. If you just, well, I'm going to try it, you try it, won't do it.
No, because you always have that escape hatch.
That's right. You made, and that's why I was attracted to you. Your first little story you told me is you made I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you made the decision to do this.
Yes.
And I decided I wanted to live.
Right.
So I made the decision.
Yeah. Well, I was brought to my knees for sure.
That was good.
So Angela Spicetti, she's been on the show a few times. She does exercise classes with us. She does yoga. She has a healing story too, and you guys should check that out. But she wants to know, what do they do for exercise, as it is part of our lifestyle? Because yes, we talk about the plant-based lifestyle, but there's many pillars of health, right? And I just had a doctor on. We talked about Dr. Jeffrey Pierce. We talked about sleep and how that was one of the pillars of health. So exercise is another pillar of health. So do you guys do any form of exercise? And if so, what is it?
Oh, she will not like my answer, because you know what? I came at this from food addiction. I mean, I was addicted to fat and sugar and salt. And no amount of exercise, no amount of sleep, no amount of love, I think, was going to help me until I got my food addiction under control. And how I got it under control was through elimination, not through moderation, not through a little bit of this and that and the other. And I don't care if I was up 5 hours or 8 hours, or if I exercised 1 mile or 10 miles a day, as long as I was still addicted, I had a problem for me.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe in what all of these people say about sleep and love and exercise and all of that. But exercise is 20%. And, but for me, I had to get, it'd be
diet
like,
is 80%.
yeah, it'd be like telling an alcoholic, well, you can drink, on the weekends, just don't drink during the week. For me, it was abstinence was the key. So now, yes, I do like some exercise, but I'm not a cover girl for exercise. I do like to swim, and I will go on the treadmill, and I would like to investigate like what you suggested with yoga. I think that's wonderful for being pliable and all those good things. But until I got the addiction, yeah.
I exercise, but 6 years ago, I couldn't walk from here to that door without having horrible angina. So I couldn't exercise at all. So I 6 weeks after being in this diet, I could climb stairs, and I decided that, and I've always I liked exercising. So we this morning, Dottie and I walked with our dog. We walked 1.5 miles, and then I was going to go on a bike ride this morning, but I had to prepare for this thing. But I have a tricycle. It's a recumbent bicycle now, and it's an e-bike, but I go 15, 20 miles 3 times a week when I ride, and I ride for an hour. Now there's people say, well, it's an e-bike and you're cheating, and that isn't so. You can get out there and you can pedal as hard as you want, because you can put the boost on from 0 to 5, but you go longer. So you ride for 1.5 hours or so. You'd never do that at 86. You'd never do that if you had to pedal the whole time, because if you want to rest for a while, you can put the boost up and let it be an electric bike. So I agree with her, but from my position, I couldn't do any exercise. I couldn't even walk.
And there may be some people that are weighing 200, 300, 400 pounds.
That can't.
And they, maybe at this point they can't. So I don't think the ability to exercise or not exercise should affect whether or not you choose to eat. Because as Dr. McDougall says, and I have it on one of my shirts, it's the food. And if we don't get the food right, nothing else matters.
Yes, you cannot exercise into good health,
No.
but you can eat into good health.
That's right.
And you can stay better health. And I also do stretches every day in the morning. And I used to have terrible backaches even on this lifestyle, but I started doing these exercises. And if anybody sends me an email, I'll send you the exercise I do. Not that I'm a physical therapist, but they can't hurt you.
Yeah.
15 seconds
Yeah.
each.
And if you like exercising, you can and you do. It's wonderful. It's really good for your head. I know Ben goes to the gym every
Sleep
day,
better.
and he likes to be on the bicycle, for an hour or whatever. We both like to swim and get in the hot tubs. So yes, exercise is really good. Just don't let that be something you think you have to do first.
It's not numero uno.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But you are active. I mean, you love to travel. So,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
and the things that when you travel, you probably do a lot of walking more than people that are probably could do it that are in their 30s, many people.
Yes.
So you have your different ways of being active. You don't maybe formally do something, but you're always walking around and exploring and doing things like that. Yeah, Angela said stretching is outstanding. It contributes to their current state of health. Yeah, I agree.
It's good to move, but I have one of these silly watches. It's not an Apple, but like today, 437 steps, if that's right. I just, just move.
Just move. That's right. And sometimes people, they may exercise for 20, 30 minutes a day and then not do anything else all day. And really, it's better if you're just moving always throughout the day.
Yes.
Even if it's a little bit. Now, is that Instant Pot, is it ready to reveal what's in it, or is it still locked?
It's still locked.
Okay. I was just curious since it was there for
yeah.
and I have a true or false question. Okay, Green Warriors, true or false? NPR stands for natural pressure release. True or false? And I know it stands for other things too.
Yeah.
So who knows? Let's see. What does Esther say?
Yes, there's a little pressure button on the back of the Instant Pot. And as long as it's raised up, then you cannot open the lid. And so you wait until that pressure goes down, and then it's safe to take the lid off. So it's been on low for 12 minutes, but it's not done yet. So my 3-2-22-10 is good, but it's the pressure will not be able to let me release the lid yet. So
Right. So you have natural pressure release, which means you're just letting it, like what you're doing now. You're not trying to encourage it to release the pressure at all. But then there is quick pressure release, which is sometimes some with some recipes we might do that.
That's true. And if I can do that to show you, there's just so little pressure left that I brought the lever towards me, and so whatever little pressure is there, it's going to do that. Sometimes you may want to do the quick release, instead of the natural. If you don't want things cooked, like if I do carrots or something like that, I often will release the pressure myself. Now see, now the button went down, I can open it.
Oh, it's ready. Yay. Oh, and the Instant Pot has something on the side where the handles are. Not everybody realizes it, but there's little notches, and the lid can be resting in there.
Yes. Oh, I'll put some in a bowl so you can see how beautiful it is. It's just perfect brown rice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now it would take at least 40 minutes if you cooked on the stovetop.
Yeah. And now that it's at this point, if I had used pineapple juice as part of the liquid, then I would now put the pineapple in and maybe even add like what Al showed with the beans, and then I would call that confetti rice. Or you can use if you use the tomatoes, then you can turn it with the flavor of having like Spanish rice. That's good that way too. So
Angela said, please tell Esther the next knock on their door is me for leftovers.
Oh, I'd love to meet you. Oh, you're so special. She's such a wonderful woman, and she's just all slim and trim and really into yoga, which is, this is the journey. Good. I'm not dead yet, so you never know. Keep prompting me about taking time to do yoga. Or I do meditate.
That's good.
Yes, that's part of my journey too. Is
Tennis and yoga girl said the fact that Esther and Ben are comfortable, well, it's Al, but are comfortable standing during the show is another example of the perks of the whole food plant-based SOS free. I am in awe of them.
Well, I'm leaning on the countertop.
Yes. I don't have muscles like some of the women do. I have flabby arms. People want to know about, well, do you get, what do they call it, skin? Loose
The
skin?
loose skin, yeah.
Loose skin. Well, I guess you could exercise it and get it tightened up, but I'm tight enough.
It covers the body. That's the important part,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That's all
yes.
you need.
It's the biggest organ we have.
It is.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, but the thing is, you know what? Flabby or wrinkled skin's not going to be on your death certificate. It's just,
true.
it's just not
That's
going to
right.
be there.
It's
So don't let that. I mean, I know if I had 400 pounds to lose, yes, I know. If that were the case, and if I had skin hanging way down low, there is surgery for that if it's important to you. But most of us, that's just an excuse not to change our eating habits. Oh, well, I might get flabby skin or I might get wrinkles. Who cares?
Yes, exactly. I agree. Very true. Very true. Well, you guys have just, I want to thank Ben. I don't know if he's still there, but Esther and Al also, thank you for showing us how easy it is to use the Instant Pot, so that those of you that are still in the box, get it out of the box and do one of these recipes, because it's going to be so rewarding for you. And thanks for sharing those delicious and healthy recipes that we can eat as much as we want till comfortably full, and it's so easy to make. So why don't you guys tell us about, well, Al had told us about his website. Why don't you tell us about you, Esther, and what you've been doing?
Well, that's nice of you to mention that. I have a group on Facebook called Esther's Nutritional Journey. And every day I read from my book and also a quote from Louise Hay, who I admire. And if I'm cooking something that day, I demonstrate the Instant Pot almost every day. So that's a good way if you want to see how I make other things as well and how simple it is. And in my journey, I do put pictures of everything that goes in my mouth except for my feet, and which I do from time to time. But anyway, it's just a nice support group if you want to. I have 2 questions to answer if you want to join. And one is just what your goals are. Because if you don't know what you want in life, guess what? That's what you get. You won't know. So claim what you want and go for it. And then I also ask if you've watched some of the podcasts, because they're wonderful too. And then it's just a nice support group. And these little videos I do every day, they last sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 4 minutes. So if you want to have more support from me and the industry as a whole, I mean, it's just, that's what I love to do. And that's what I do every day.
And we were talking earlier that both of you were just so happy with your results from this lifestyle, as far as your well, especially for you, Esther, you lost quite a bit of weight, but also your health. And because you're so thankful, you put up the website, you started this Facebook group, and Esther, you wrote a book, right? And we're talking about proceeds. So can you tell us about the book if people don't know the book?
I keep it here because every day I read from it as I do my post every day on Esther's Nutritional Journey. It's a great book. It's not a book that you have to read from beginning to end. Each day, it is what I put on my Facebook journey. I think of a word in the morning, and then I kind of think about it, and then I just write a little story about it. And so this book is a compilation of 366 days from 2019 when I did that. So you don't need to buy my book. Just go on my Facebook journey, and you can read it every day with me.
Oh, it's a wonderful book. And every time you come on, I always ask you to open up and read us something. So would you share something with us?
Okay, well, I'll just read what I wrote for today, September 16th. And the word is onus. Now, where did that word come from? I guess the onus is on me to explain. In life, we have the privilege of so many choices. Along with getting to make decisions around those options, we also have to accept the consequences of our actions. That leads me to the next step of relating this to how we eat. We can blame our ancestors for the genes we have been given. We can blame our spouse or our partner for not wanting to go along with a whole food plant-based eating plan. We can blame our social life and our friends. And we can blame ourselves by saying we just lack the willpower to stick to a healthy eating plan. We get to choose what results are important to us, important enough to make a commitment even before we have experienced the joys of sustained health. Each step we take leads us closer to achieving our goals. By blaming outside circumstances or people, we think we can fool ourselves into not taking responsibility for ourselves. But in the end, the onus is on us. And if you do go to Amazon and purchase my book, all of my royalties are forwarded to Dr. McDougall's foundation because I love him so much.
Yep, and there's some romance in there.
Oh, yeah. I did tell a story about how Ben and I met in his donut shop. And that was kind of a neat thing, too, because my father had given me a coupon for his donut shop. So I like to pretend I'm Jewish and my father was the matchmaker.
Yes, so there's a romantic story in there, but it's just, I mean, anytime that you are just feeling maybe a little defeated or maybe like, can I do this? Maybe unsure. And not just about this lifestyle, but anything really. You can pick up and look at what today's entry is, or you can just find something else. And there's just so much of encouragement in there. And I just love it. And I thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And I thank you all for joining us on the show today and talking about where we can find you and what we can do. And Green Warriors that are watching, tell us, what are you going to remember? What is your takeaway? And please stay tuned for a special announcement. I do want to thank Jess Task Voice because she did the promo and she also did the voiceover. She helped with a lot of the Instagram things. She's just great and so grateful to her. And Jess Task Voice, please tell us who's coming up next.
Plant-based cookbook author Kathy Fisher will be coming back on the broadcast. Learn about the best kitchen gadgets, storage solutions, and food prep hacks. Join us for a Q&A on Friday, September 23rd, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, on Be Green with Amy Live.
Well, most of all, I want to thank all of you Green Warriors that have joined us today, and you've been commenting and sharing and subscribing, because Esther and Ben and Al and me also, we all want to share this lifestyle with the world. And by you joining in and doing what you're doing, you're helping us to spread the word of this lifestyle, because we just want to give back. We want to heal as many people as possible. And we know that there are people out there that are looking for answers, and we hope they'll stumble upon us today or similar broadcasts like this. And I want you guys to take your right hand and grab your left shoulder, and take your left hand and grab your right shoulder and squeeze, because that's a hug from me to you. And if you would like to join me and Esther and Al, I don't know if Ben's still there, but we're going to be doing my tagline, which is be strong, be well, and be green. And you guys can type it in the comments. Are you ready, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Well, until I see you guys again, remember, be strong, be well, and be green. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Now you can listen to Be Green with Amy expert interviews wherever you go. Listen while walking, meal prepping, or traveling. Find Be Green with Amy on Apple, Google, Alexa, Amazon, or virtually anywhere you find podcasts. Be strong, be well, and be green with Be Green with